They say the early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. Well, that only applies to conventional mouse traps, not the wheel of death. Hey everybody, it's Dave Knetter from Knetter's Practical Outdoors, and today I'd like to talk to you about mouse removal. Mouse removal is a pretty important subject to me. Over the years at my deer camp, we've had a few mouse events that have gotten kind of serious. One year my brother-in-law Milton, he was out hunting with us at the camp. Before bed one night he put his cell phone down on the kitchen table with some hard candy. Next morning he wakes up, the hard candy's gone. There's mouse droppings on the table, and the last number dialed on his cell phone was to some country in the Middle East. And not only did he get kind of nailed with some really hefty roaming fees, but with all the wiretapping since 9/11, we're pretty sure he's on a terrorist watch list. So, you know, that got pretty serious. And then another year, my buddy Scott out at camp, he missed a real nice buck with his muzzleloader. And really the only conclusion we could come to is that a mouse had messed with his scope. So, you know, we take mouse removal pretty seriously at our camp. And I got some different styles here. We'll get started with, you know, just this conventional mouse trap. And, you know, this is the one that's in all the cartoons. I'm sure you guys have seen this before. You pull the spring back, you kind of notch up the lever, and, you know, you put your cheese or your peanut butter right here. Mouse comes along and he gets it, right? And this is where the saying that the second mouse gets the cheese, because now a second mouse can come along and he can eat that cheese. And, you know, I think that really empowers that second mouse. You know, he comes along and he's like, oh, hey, look, my buddy ate the cheese, died. I'm eating the cheese, nothing happened. And, you know, I think they start to think that there's some kind of mouse god or something, and that's when they get really cocky, and that's when you're going to have some serious problems. And, you know, here's another style. This is actually a live trap, and it's got this hinged door on it. You put the bait down all the way to the back here, and you set it up like this, so of course, so the door is open. The mouse comes in, and he has to go to the back to get the bait, and the weight of the mouse tips it and the door shuts. So now you've got this live mouse in here, and you can take him outside, you can let him go, maybe drive down the road, even let him go. But it's been my experience that mice can't be rehabilitated, so I don't really care to use that style either. The style I like to use is this bucket style trap, and of course what it is, it's a bucket. It's some sort of a shaft and some kind of rolling device on that shaft to kind of make sort of a rolling pin type thing, and a ramp. And you'd smear your bait on here. You'd smear some peanut butter on here. You got this ramp, the mouse comes up, jumps on here to eat the bait, and falls off like a defeated log roller. And oftentimes, guys will put water in the bottom here, and so then the mouse will drown right away, which is fine. The only thing is, if you're going to leave this trap unattended for a while, the dead mice will start to stink in it a little bit. So it doesn't hurt to, you know, maybe put something that'll kind of pickle the mouse in there. We actually we had some really, really cheap rum that we poured in the bottom of our bucket trap one time. That works good, and, you know, maybe the mouse has a pretty good time right before he dies, you know, with that rum. My brother-in-law Milton, again, he's notoriously frugal. We told him to bring some Captain Morgans out to the camp, and I don't know, he came to deer camp with some kind of rum called Cabin Boy Larry's. It was hideous. So we just poured it in the bottom of the bucket trap. And like I say, you know, maybe the mouse has a little bit more enjoyable time dying. But as you can see, our shaft is an arrow. You know, this is an old aluminum arrow. It got bent going through the chest of a buck. and had to be retired, and now it serves a good purpose here. And we just have a beer can for the spinning device. Of course, you know, at most deer camps you can probably find a beer can if you look real hard. You know, you don't have to use the Miller Lite Packer commemorative can, but we do. You know, and the ramp, of course, can be anything. It can be a board like this. It can be a stick. You can use even something smaller if you put it up next to a couch or whatever. And they really work good. And of course, one of the real pluses about this type of trap is the mice it doesn't need to be reset. You can just keep continually catching mice, say all week long, if you just get out to your camp on the weekends and stuff. And you know, my buddy Scott, after that incident where that mouse messed with his scope, he kind of wanted to give this a little bit more ominous name than just the bucket trap, so he coined the phrase Wheel of Death. So that's where that comes from. Anyways, it works really good. For anybody that hasn't used this type of trap before, I really recommend it. It's never needs to be reset other than adding a little bit of bait, but boom, the mice just keep coming and they just keep dying. So works real good. So thanks for watching. This is Dave Knetter from Knetter's Practical Outdoors. God bless.